They say envy is silent until it finds something pure to destroy. In Omorogu, it found Amara, a gentle girl whose kindness made even the wind pause. But one day, envy pushed kindness into the river, and the river remembered. The night drums of Omorogu beat low and steady, like a giant heart hiding beneath the earth. From the hills, firelight flickered across the thatched roofs, whispering of secrets yet to come. Beneath the glow, Amara hurried through the courtyard with a calabash balanced on her head. Her bare feet slapped softly against the red soil. The scent of wood smoke and cassava leaves hung heavy in the air. Inside the main hut, Chief Okoro, tall and weary, sat polishing the carved staff that marked his authority. His second wife, Mama Zuri, reclined nearby, her wrists gleaming with brass bangles. And beside her, their daughter Zuri sat before a mirror of polished tin, humming as she oiled her hair. Amara entered quietly and knelt. "Father, the palm wine is ready," she said. The chief smiled faintly. "Thank you, my child. You work harder than the servants." Mama Zuri's lips tightened, but she said nothing. She preferred her silence sharp as a knife. Zuri glanced at her stepsister through the mirror. The lamplight caught Amara's face, soft, gentle, and far too beautiful for Zuri's liking. Every villager praised Amara's kindness, her laughter, and above all, her voice. When she sang at the river, even the birds stopped to listen. "Always the perfect one," Zuri muttered. Outside, a royal drumbeat rolled through the night. Dum, dum, dum. A messenger's voice followed. "Hear the words of our prince. In 7 days at the Festival of Voices he will choose his bride. Every maiden shall sing before the kingdom. Let the voice that touches his heart become the voice of the palace." Excitement exploded through the village. Children ran, women clapped, and songs burst like rainfall. Inside Chief Okoro's compound, Amara's eyes widened. "A singing contest?" she whispered. Zuri's mother spoke first. "You heard him, my daughter. This is your chance. The prince must choose you." "But Mama—" "No but, Zuri. You will sing, you will shine. We cannot let that child of another woman steal what belongs to you." Amara lowered her head, pretending not to hear. But her heart fluttered with both hope and fear. That night, when everyone slept, Amara slipped to the riverside. The moon lay across the water like a silver cloth. She sat on a stone and began to hum a melody her late mother once taught her. Soft, haunting, filled with longing. The tune floated across the water, echoing faintly against the trees. She didn't know Zuri had followed. Hidden behind a palm, Zuri clenched her fists. The sound was too pure, too effortless. Rage pulsed through her veins. "If the prince hears that voice, I will vanish like dust." The next morning, Omorogu buzzed with preparation. Women practiced songs, men built the festival stage, and drummers tested rhythms that shook the ground. Chief Okoro beamed with pride. "My daughters shall both sing," he declared. "Let the gods favor the best voice." Zuri forced a smile, but inside her jealousy grew wild roots. Mama Zuri whispered to her later, "Do not trust the river girl. Her sweetness hides ambition. Remember, a quiet snake can still strike." That evening, clouds gathered, thick, gray, heavy. Thunder grumbled across the horizon as if warning of what was coming. Amara returned from the fields, soaked by sudden rain, but humming all the same. She helped her father store yams, fetched firewood, and still managed to comfort a crying child from next door. Zuri watched her from the window, eyes burning. "Everyone loves her," she hissed. "Even the rain seems to dance when she sings." By nightfall, she had made her choice. When the last drum faded and the moon rose high, Zuri approached Amara with an unfamiliar gentleness. "Sister," she said softly, "you must be tired. Tomorrow, come with me to the river. The water has calmed after the rain. Let's wash our clothes together. It will ease your heart before the festival." Amara hesitated. It was rare for Zuri to speak kindly, yet something in her eyes looked sincere, almost pleading. She smiled. "All right, sister. At dawn, we'll go together." Zuri's smile curved, sweet as palm wine, sharp as broken glass. Far away, thunder rumbled again, rolling over the dark hills. The river shimmered under the moon, restless, whispering secrets it would soon be forced to keep. The morning broke with a strange silence. Even the roosters crowed late, as though the sky itself hesitated to wake. Mist hung low over the red soil of Omorogu, and the path to the river shimmered faintly in the dawn light. Amara walked beside Zuri, a woven basket on her head, filled with clothes to wash. Her steps were light, her voice soft as she hummed the tune her late mother once sang. The song mingled with the breeze, carrying through the palm trees like a gentle prayer. Zuri said little. Her mind was a storm. Each note that floated from Amara's lips stabbed her deeper. Even when she's not trying, she sounds perfect. She tightened her grip on the basket handle. They reached the riverbank. The water ran clear and calm, its surface glinting gold under the rising sun. Birds hopped along the reeds. Somewhere across the river, fishermen paddled out in small canoes, their paddles slicing through the glassy water. Amara knelt and dipped her cloths into the stream. The water is so peaceful today, she said. Zuri forced a smile. Yes, peaceful. A moment passed. Then Zuri asked, Amara, do you ever wish things were different? That people didn't always compare us? Amara looked up, puzzled. We are sisters. There's no need to compare. The village loves you too. Zuri's laugh was short and bitter. Do they? When they speak of beauty, they mention you. When they speak of kindness, they praise you. Even father— She stopped, her voice trembling. Even he looks at you and sees your mother. Amara's eyes softened. I never wanted your pain, Zuri. I just— Enough! Zuri snapped, her voice slicing the air. The birds scattered. The sound of rushing water filled the silence that followed. Amara stood alarmed. Sister. Zuri's face was pale. Her hands shook. You'll always be the favorite, won't you? Even the prince will want you. Everyone will forget me unless— Before Amara could move, Zuri shoved her. The world tilted. The sky, the trees, the light, all spun in a blur of blue and brown as Amara tumbled into the river. Her cry was swallowed by water. The current pulled her under, dragging her into the cold, swirling dark. Zuri froze. Her breath hitched, her heart racing. Amara, she shouted, dropping to her knees. Amara, grab my hand! But there was no answer, only the sound of churning water and the cry of a distant heron, then silence. The river smoothed itself as if nothing had happened. Only a few bubbles rose and popped on the surface. Zuri's chest tightened. Nope. She looked around frantically, but there was no one. The fishermen were gone. The trees stood still. Panic clawed at her throat. She screamed once more, then stumbled backward, sobbing. By the time she reached home, her clothes were drenched and her face streaked with tears. The villagers gathered at the sound of her wailing. Help! She cried. My sister, Amara, she slipped. The river took her. Gasps filled the air. Chief Okoro rushed forward, his face drained of color. Where? Show us. They ran. The villagers searched the banks, calling Amara's name again and again. The men dragged nets through the water, but there was no trace of her. Only Amara's scarf floated downstream, catching on a root. By nightfall, torches flickered along the river's edge. The air was heavy with grief. Chief Okoro stood still, staring into the current. The gods have taken my child, he whispered. Zuri stood beside him, trembling. Mama Zuri placed a comforting arm around her daughter, whispering, You did what you had to do. Now keep your silence, my child. What's gone is gone. But that night, as Zuri lay awake, the wind seemed to whisper through the trees, Zuri, Zuri. The sound made her skin crawl. The river outside gurgled softly, almost like laughter. She pressed her pillow over her ears, but the voice grew louder, clearer. The river remembers. Her heart pounded. Stop it! She whispered into the dark. But the air in her room turned cold, and for a moment she thought she saw a faint shimmer of water at her window, like silver fingers tracing the wood before vanishing. Days passed. The village mourned. Drums beat low each evening, their rhythm heavy with sorrow. Amara's name was spoken in whispers. Flowers floated down the river in her memory. The festival was 1 week away, yet Omorogu felt dimmer, quieter. Still, life moved on. The prince's messengers continued their preparations. Zuri dressed in bright wrappers and tried to smile when neighbors offered sympathy. "You are strong," they said. "May the gods comfort you." But at night, her dreams were filled with rushing water and the echo of Amara's song. Soft, distant but growing closer. On the 7th night, as thunder rolled across the hills, Zuri woke to the sound of footsteps in the courtyard. She crept to the window. The rain had begun again, falling in silver sheets. Through the downpour she saw something, a figure, drenched, standing by the gate. It was slender, familiar. The figure raised its head. Zuri's breath caught. It was Amara. Lightning flashed, and for a heartbeat, their eyes met, one filled with terror, the other calm as the river itself. Then the figure was gone, leaving only the sound of rain and the whisper of water running past the compound. Zuri backed away from the window, trembling. No, it can't be. But deep inside, she knew the river's warning was true. It remembers, and it was coming for her. The river was alive that night. Its surface shimmered under the silver moonlight. But this was no ordinary shimmer. It danced and writhed as though whispering secrets meant only for those brave enough to listen. Beneath the water, currents twisted and turned, carrying something precious downstream. Amara floated gently, her eyes closed, feeling neither fear nor despair. The river seemed to breathe around her, pressing its cool fingers against her skin, whispering reassurance through the ripples. The last thing she remembered was Zuri's shove, a sudden fall into the deep, cold darkness. Yet here she was, held safely as if by invisible hands. When she finally opened her eyes, she was no longer in the main current but lying on a bed of soft reeds, the riverbank aglow with pale light. Her wrapper, soaked and tattered, gleamed with tiny droplets that reflected the stars. A faint melodic hum surrounded her, like the echo of 1,000 distant voices. "Amara," whispered a voice that seemed to rise from the water itself. "Child of courage. The river protects those it has chosen." A figure stepped from the shadows, luminous, ethereal, with eyes deep as the night sky. It was the spirit of her late mother, radiating warmth and love. "I have watched your tears, my daughter," the spirit said, voice gentle but commanding. "You will not die by the hand of envy. Your destiny is not theirs to steal." Amara's lips trembled. "But my sister named Zuri, she wanted me gone. Father, the village. They think I drowned." The spirit placed a hand on her forehead. "Truth will rise. Darkness can hide only for so long. When the festival comes, your voice will shine brighter than any lies, and the river will speak with you." Amara inhaled sharply. For the first time since the shove, she felt hope. Her heart, once icy with fear, now surged with fire. I will go," she whispered. "I will face them all." The spirit smiled. "Drink, my child." From the river, a small vial of glowing liquid appeared. It shimmered like moonlight trapped in glass. Amara drank, and the warmth spread through her body like sunlight through morning mist. Her limbs felt light. Her voice began to hum naturally, a resonance that seemed to come from the river itself. Meanwhile, back in Omorogu, Zuri paced her room, clutching the walls, her heart pounding. The festival was only days away, and panic had begun to seep into her carefully constructed lies. Villagers whispered about Amara's death, but some claimed to see faint movements along the riverbanks at night, a shadow, a flash of light, a soft singing that faded before anyone could investigate. "No, she's gone," Zuri muttered to herself, shaking. "Everyone believes it. She's gone." But deep inside, a knot of unease grew. In her dreams, the river whispered Amara's name. Each time she awoke, a chill lingered in the room, the air heavy with the memory of flowing water. The next few days were a fever of preparation for the festival. Women polished their wrappers, men tested drums, and the aroma of cooking fires filled the air. Chief Okoro walked among the villagers, his face stoic, but his eyes betrayed worry for the daughter he thought lost. And far away by the glowing river bank, Amara practiced her song. Every note carried the essence of the river, the strength of currents, the whispers of reeds, the secrets of ancestors. She could feel the spirits guiding her hands, her breath, her voice. Each note became a promise. The truth would be heard, and Zuri's treachery would be revealed. On the eve of the festival, as the village slept, Amara stood at the river's edge. Moonlight kissed her hair, now adorned with droplets that glistened like tiny stars. The water shimmered behind her, and the currents seemed to form shapes. A silent army of the river itself, protecting her, giving her courage. "This is not just a song," she whispered to herself. "This is justice." And with that, she stepped away from the riverbank, carrying herself with a confidence that Zuri could not imagine, her voice ready to awaken the entire village and expose the darkness that had hidden too long. The river settled once more, calm on the surface but alive beneath, waiting for the moment when truth and song would rise together. The day of the Festival of Voices dawned over Omorogu like a blaze of color and sound. Thatched rooftops gleamed under the morning sun. Children ran through the streets with drums tied across their chests, and the aroma of roasted yams and palm wine filled every corner. Excitement rippled like fire, but beneath it a tension thickened. Everyone remembered Amara. The village mourned her supposed death, yet whispers lingered, faint. Curious rumors of a shadow by the riverbank, a light that moved in the night. Inside Chief Okoro's courtyard, maidens from across the kingdom gathered. Their wrappers glittered with beads and gold, their voices trained, polished, each hoping to win the prince's heart. Among them, Zuri stood, her posture proud, though a tremor betrayed her nerves. She wore her finest silks and bangles, polished until they shone like sunlight. Yet her eyes constantly scanned the crowd, searching for a phantom she feared, her vanished stepsister. The prince, tall and imposing, stepped onto the raised stage, the crown of the festival glinting in his hand. Drums thundered in the background, a rhythm that made the earth beneath their feet hum. "Today," he declared, "we shall hear the voices of the kingdom. One shall rise and claim the heart of the palace. Sing and let the gods decide." Zuri's performance came first. Her song was rehearsed to perfection, precise and sweet, yet something lacked. It was polished but hollow, like a river with no current. The crowd clapped politely, but whispers rippled among the villagers. Even the prince's gaze flickered briefly, unfulfilled. Then came silence. The drums paused, the wind stilled, and a hush swept over the courtyard. A figure appeared at the edge of the stage, slender, glowing faintly, soaked as if emerging from rain, with beads of water clinging to her hair and skin. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. It was Amara, alive, unchanged by fear, untouched by despair. She stepped forward with calm certainty, her eyes scanning the sea of faces. For a heartbeat, Zuri froze, her polished smile faltering. Her chest heaved as if she could not breathe. Impossible, she thought. She should be gone. Amara lifted her head, and when she began to sing, the world seemed to pause. Her voice was not just sound. It was river and wind, fire and rain, sorrow and hope intertwined. The notes rose and fell like the tide, carrying the memory of her near death, the whispers of the river spirits, and the truth she had been forced to endure. The villagers shivered. Birds froze in mid-flight, and even the palace guards lowered their heads, enraptured. The river behind the stage, unnoticed by most, began to stir. Tiny waves rippled, whispering a haunting echo. The voice of Zuri, trapped within the water's memory, crying out the words she had used when she had tried to push Amara to her death. Zuri's face went pale. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her mother. But the whispers of the river grew louder, repeating every lie, every act of betrayal. The crowd gasped, murmurs rising to shouts. "Look!" a villager cried. "The river speaks." The prince's eyes widened. His gaze shifted to the river, then back to the stage. Who is this?" he whispered, captivated. "This is the voice I have been searching for." Amara continued, her song now carrying a gentle accusation. She did not raise her voice in anger but in clarity, narrating the truth of what had happened without naming names. Yet every villager understood. The river had preserved the memory of envy and cruelty, and the one who tried to bury it could no longer hide. The drums behind the stage thundered suddenly, as if marking a climax in her melody. Amara stepped forward, holding her voice high, and the river swirled behind her, reflecting sunlight like silver fire. The villagers leaned in, spellbound. Even the prince's heart raced. Finally, the song ended. A silence heavier than the night fell across Omorogu. Eyes turned to Zuri. She could not look away from the stage. Her hands clenched into fists, her lips quivering. The river had spoken. Every villager knew what had happened. The push, the near drowning, the lies. Amara's gaze swept over the crowd. She spoke, her voice steady now. "I am here. I am alive. I am the one who sang. And I am the one who was betrayed. The river remembers what you tried to hide." Zuri stumbled backward, the color draining from her face. Mama Zuri gasped, her mouth open in disbelief. The prince's jaw tightened. His eyes, once curious, now burned with resolve. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice low, measured, yet filled with authority. Zuri tried to speak, but no words would come. The villagers stepped back, murmuring in awe. The river behind the stage glittered like molten silver, reflecting the truth for all to see. The current seemed alive, the water itself pointing blame. Amara lowered her gaze but did not falter. The crowd fell silent. In that moment, every eye in Omorogu knew that envy, lies, and cruelty could never survive the witness of truth. The courtyard of Omorogu was silent, heavy with awe and disbelief. The festival had reached its peak, yet no applause came, no cheers rose. All eyes were fixed on Amara, standing at the center of the stage, radiant and composed, her voice still echoing in the minds of the villagers. The river behind her glimmered with silver light, as though it, too, had come to witness justice. Zuri stood frozen, her polished silk suddenly meaningless. Her mother's grip on her arm faltered. The whispers of the crowd swelled into murmurs, then gasps, then an undeniable roar of realization. Everyone understood. The river had kept its memory. It had revealed Zuri's treachery, her jealousy, and the push that nearly ended her stepsister's life. The prince stepped forward, his boots sinking slightly into the soft earth of the stage. His face was stern, yet his eyes glimmered with admiration. "Tell me, maiden," he said, voice cutting through the stunned silence. "Who are you, and what is the truth behind this song?" Amara held her head high. Her voice was calm but unwavering, carrying the confidence that only survival and justice could forge. "I am Amara, daughter of Chief Okoro and his late wife. I am the one who sang yesterday at the river. And I am the one who was betrayed by Zuri, my stepsister, who pushed me into the river in envy and fear of my voice. Yet I live. The river carried me, the spirits protected me, and today the truth has risen." The river behind her shimmered brighter, as if affirming her words. The villagers murmured in astonishment, some taking steps back in awe. Even the prince's heart raced. The courage, the honesty and the purity of Amara's voice had reached him beyond the skill of any polished performance. Zuri's face twisted in panic. "It's a lie," she screamed, voice cracking. I didn't. It's not true." But the water behind the stage responded. Tiny waves licked the stone floor, and the current seemed to form shapes, faint silhouettes of Amara, falling into the river. The moment of betrayal captured in flowing motion. The villagers gasped again. There was no denying it. The river had remembered. Mama Zuri dropped to her knees, clutching her daughter, her voice trembling. "Zuri, my child." But Zuri could not meet anyone's eyes. She shook, paralyzed by guilt and shame as the truth laid itself bare. The crowd whispered that envy could never hide from justice, that lies could never survive where truth flowed like water. The prince stepped closer to Amara. lifting the golden bangle he had been given the day before, a symbol of choice and destiny. "Amara," he said softly. "Your voice, your courage, your heart. They have proven you worthy, not only of this crown but of the love and honor of the palace." A hush fell over Omorogu. The villagers leaned forward, hearts racing. Slowly the prince placed a delicate golden circlet upon Amara's head. It glimmered like the river at dawn, a crown forged by truth and destiny. Tears filled Amara's eyes, not of sadness but of triumph. She looked at Zuri once more. "I forgive you," she said, her voice gentle yet strong. "But remember this, the river never forgets, and neither should the heart that chooses envy over love." The villagers erupted in cheers. Children danced, drums rolled with renewed vigor, and even the palace guards allowed themselves smiles. The river, quiet now, lapped gently against the bank, as if it too celebrated. Zuri's mother whispered brokenly, "We were wrong." But Amara did not turn away. She raised her hand in blessing, letting her stepsister know that though truth had won, mercy still had a place. The prince took Amara's hand. "You have not only claimed your voice but the heart of this kingdom," he said. "Let your reign be one of courage, justice, and wisdom, and may the river always guide you." From the riverbank, a faint shimmer appeared, the form of Amara's mother, smiling softly. Her presence was a whisper in the wind, a warm, unbroken embrace from the beyond. "My daughter, you have honored the truth," she murmured. "You have survived, and your destiny shines brighter than any darkness." As the sun began to set, casting gold across the village, Amara stood at the center of the courtyard, crowned and victorious. The festival became a celebration not only of voices but of courage, survival, and the unyielding force of truth. The river flowed quietly behind her, holding its memory, a silent guardian of justice, and Omorogu knew this day would be remembered forever. The day when envy was exposed, truth triumphed, and the river spoke for the lost maiden who had returned.